welcome to Brandverse. I am Shabani Gharat. We have a very interesting show lined up for you that takes you in the heart of what's driving the culture around the world. But first, let's take a look at what's happening in the world of advertising and marketing. Now, first up, the Food Safety and Standards Authority of India is widening its enforcement drive against misleading product claims. After cracking down on food and beverage brands in recent months, the regulator is now tightening the screws on alcoholic beverages. In fact, FSSAI has initiated action against several liquor companies over alleged use of non-permitted flavoring practices and misleading age-related claims on the product labels. The regulator says manufacturers must ensure that the products comply with the existing food safety and labeling norms and has sought explanations from companies facing notices. The latest move signals FSSAI's continued push to curb misleading marketing and strengthen consumer protection across the sectors. Now, moving on, Reddit CEO Steve Huffman has raised fresh concerns over Google's AI-powered search, saying AI-generated answers are reducing traffic to publishers and content platforms. His remarks come as media companies grapple with falling referral traffic, with AI search tools increasingly keeping users within search results instead of directing them to original websites. The comments underscore growing anxiety across the publishing industry as AI continues to reshape how audience discovers content and how digital publishers attract readers and advertising revenue. Now, Rakhi Sawant continues to entertain us but also continues to stay in news. This time, not for reality TV or social media, but for a clever, festive campaign. Swiggy Instamart has roped in the actor for its Raksha Bandhan campaign, playing on the double meaning of the word Rakhi. The campaign asks a simple question: is Rakhi Sawant happy this Rakhi? Before revealing a heartwarming twist, with Rakhi designing a special Rakhi and sharing personalized messages for customers. The campaign has struck a chord online for blending humor, emotion and wordplay while giving the festival a unique marketing spin. Now, the IPL, or the Indian Premier League's commercial clout, is reaching unprecedented heights. According to Houlihan Lokey's latest 2026 brand valuation study, the IPL's total business value has surged past $20.6 billion, up over 11% year-on-year, with its standalone brand value topping $4.3 billion. This surge, in fact, comes on the back of historic franchise deals, including landmark transactions for Royal Challengers Bengaluru and Rajasthan Royals, a major shift in viewer habits, with connected TV reach surging 26% even as traditional linear ratings soften. Unsurprisingly, RCB retains the crown as the league's most valuable team with a brand value of $312 million. And then finally, nostalgia, pop culture and a legacy partnership that defined Indian advertising to celebrate 30 years in India and an incredible 28-year journey with the brand ambassador Shah Rukh Khan. Hyundai Motor India and creative agency Innocean India have brought back one of the country's most memorable commercials, the iconic Santro Zing. Now, Mr. Kim ad reimagined with a modern twist. The new campaign, in fact, takes viewers from the classic Santro era straight into the present, featuring the Creta and the all-electric iconic 5, symbolizing Hyundai's evolution towards electric mobility. The campaign has already raked up 25 million views across digital platforms, proving that when done right, classic advertising nostalgia can still capture consumer imagination. Now let's get on with the rest of the show. From local gyms to massive indoor arenas, India's fitness landscape is undergoing a structural transformation, and a new global phenomena is driving the change. Enter Hyrox, the indoor fitness race bridging the gap between traditional marathon runners and everyday gym goers. Combining functional strength with running, the sport is seeing explosive growth across major Indian metros, capturing the attention of thousands of athletes and top consumer brands alike. Earlier, I caught up with Christian Toetzke. He is the co-founder and CEO of Hyrox alongside Deepak Raj, the founder of Yoska and Hyrox India. We spoke to them about the business model behind the world's fastest growing fitness sport, its viral appeal on social media, and why is India primed to become one of its biggest global markets. Let's take a look. Well, fitness industry in India is going through a structural shift, and someone who's leading this change and this shift are two gentlemen who are sitting right in front of me. We have Christian Toetzke and Deepak Raj, who got Hyrox to the country. Thank you so much for joining us today on ET Now. Christian, let's begin this conversation with you. You're someone, as the co-founder of Hyrox, who set up Hyrox in different markets around the world. When did you think it was the right time to get it to the India market?
Yeah. That's a good question. We were growing Hyrox in the more Western world in the beginning, so Europe, America, and we started our first events in Asia. And then, luckily, I have to say, Deepak, our partner in India, he reached out to us.
Right.
He sent us emails, etc., and we were luckily responding. And he told us we should consider India much faster than we thought. And he helped us to bring it to India, and now I'm very happy with the decision because I think India is, we see a dramatic change in uprising in fitness across India. So we're very happy we're here now and helping this new trend.
Right. Deepak, tell us more. You're someone you have been in endurance sport for a very long time, running marathons. You've done triathlons, coached people for triathlons. Tell us, why did you think of Hyrox and it was the right sport for the country?
Marathons and Ironman, and then somebody just mentioned about Hyrox. I think they were doing a race, Hyrox Frankfurt or something, or Munich. They were training and they called me for a training session saying, I'm training for it, you should try this new sport. I just did a training session, liked it. That day, evening itself, did a bit of research. A matter of 24 hours, then reached out, and then as soon as I sort of read a little more about it, and as the discussions progressed with Christian's team, more and more I felt the gap they have tried to, or not tried to, they filled the gap for the gym community. I saw the same here.
Right.
And then there was always running. The intersection from running to gym going people, I found that to be very appropriate with respect to where India was heading.
Right. And is there adequate trading ecosystem in the country right now, for this sport to grow?
It can be better, but are there gyms? Yes. Can the gyms be better? Yes. But we've seen such a big shift just in about 14 months.
Right.
You're just 14 months old in India.
Right.
You already now see ski ergs and rowing machines and sleds in the gyms, which is so different. So the key confidence which I had was that we can't wait for all that to develop and then bring a sport.
Right.
We sort of do it in parallel, and in a matter of a few months, things will change. Right. And we've seen that. Running was always there in India. Right. So
there was running, and there was the traditional gym goers. Correct. Who used to work out on machines. Yes. And with the dumbbells and all. And then there was the yoga community in the country. Yes. So yeah, and the gym going people did not have a race. The runners had a marathon, the triathletes had Ironman, and everything else. So as soon as you gave that, all the people who were going to the gym who were not running much started to look at running. Right.
And all the running people who used to do a little bit of strength and conditioning. So they were a lot more ready than what they thought they will be. Right. So that was the confidence he had for most of the countries.
So it's sort of a hybrid between
that's the right word. It is hybrid
running
fitness.
And the gym goers. But what were some of the learnings from the global markets when you started out, reaching out to these different countries and reaching out to different consumers in these countries to come and try Hyrox race?
Yeah, first of all, what Deepak explained, we thought from the beginning we're sitting in this intersection of running and fitness, and there was a big void for a competition, a sport.
Right.
In fitness, because fitness, you have to understand, was actually around the world was training and not a sport because there was no competition existing. So people train to fitness, but not with a different purpose. So when you do every other sport, if you're an ultramarathon runner, so you train and you run because you also train for certain events. So the fitness community didn't have that. So now this is working everywhere in the world, literally from Japan to San Francisco and everything in between.
Right.
What we learn is, and that's very important to understand, fitness, mostly people are doing this indoors, right, in gyms that are controlled facilities. And we see now a massive, massive growing popularity in the countries which have more tropical weather. So where outdoor activities are much more difficult because it's the heat, it's the humidity,
right.
Traffic, all the outside conditions. So people enjoy and appreciate, first of all, the training in a controlled environment, and now we do our events also indoors.
Right.
And I mean, yesterday or the last 3 days, we had the event in Delhi, and it was, I can tell because I was there, it was very, very hot outside.
Right.
And inside you have perfect conditions for racing. So I think everyone is enjoying that, and that was not existing beforehand.
Right.
So it's two things. It's this indoor competition and it's in fitness. And these two things were not existing.
Right.
Why I think it resonates so well with this part of the world, and especially also India.
Right. Also, Christian, help us understand, the business of Hyrox and, the entire business model. Some of the things that, you do to ensure, like to set up like a Hyrox race in the country, how much does it cost? Is it, of course, the ticket price driven, like, when consumers or, the participants pay for like an event, or is it advertiser driven?
Well, that's a very good question. So first of all, what we do is pretty unprecedented in the world of sport. Think about it, take an analogy, and someone would own the brand marathon, marathon running, and he would organize all marathon events in the world.
Right.
You would say this is a pretty good business.
Right.
That's more or less what we are doing.
Right.
We created a new sport, which was not existing, but we run everything with partners, but everything under one brand, and we organize everything. We are involved in the whole organization. So it's growing very fast, and we are operating many, many events. The revenues still are globally, like 60% are the ticket revenues. We come from the participants and spectators. And then we have advertising and we have merchandising. And the fourth revenue stream is that gyms are paying us a very small fee to affiliate with the brand.
With the brand.
And then we're helping them to integrate with digital solutions. We're helping them to integrate training into the gyms.
Into the gyms, yeah.
And that's a small amount here and there, but it's a volume business. So we are at 20,000 gyms in the world.
So it's ticket driven. The part of it is advertiser driven, and then you're working with gyms to integrate it into the everyday training. And of course, they pay you some amount of fee globally. Is this the same that is happening in India as well?
And merchandise.
And merchandise. And merchandise. Yeah. But having said that, they say in advertising, advertisers go where consumers go. And over the past, I guess a year or so, we have seen an increase in interest amongst the young population to participate in Hyrox. Ideally, before a tournament, I see a lot of pings on my personal Instagram, we are looking for a partner to participate in a Hyrox race, or, look like there are threads and reels on social media. And there is a lot of consumer interest, in Hyrox currently. What is the kind of advertiser interest that you have seen in the India market?
Usually the advertisers and the brands take a while before the product is established.
Right.
We've seen that in any new thing you bring into India from a sport perspective. The first 3 events, we did not have too many inbound requests from brands and advertisers. We did a lot of outbound reach, and we did get a few sponsors.
Right.
But a true reflection is we did not have a title or a naming rights partner, which is usually a signal that's when brands are starting to show interest and want to associate with the product.
Right.
So the first event we had 1,600 people, second event 2,500, third event 3,600. But then the snowball effect started, started to roll. And then in Bangalore, we had 8,200, a 2-day event, and very different interest from brands.
Right.
But what kind of brands? Obviously, a lot of them are health and fitness related, wearables, nutrition. Obviously, apparel was Puma, Red Bull, and the equipment manufacturers. They were already global partners.
Right.
So we looked at some of the non-endemic partners, like even banks and insurance companies, logistic partners,
right,
and the likes. And we've had some national partners now.
Right.
And starting our 4th event in Bangalore, we've had title partners.
Right.
Like Delhi, which just event happened yesterday, Masters Union, which is a university, right?
Was the title
They were the title partners. In Bangalore, we had Ultra Human, which is a wearables. So we'll have banks, we have had auto manufacturers and all that. So very widespread.
Right.
But the demography, like you said, 25 to 35, a lot of people.
Yeah.
They want that, and it's a very content-friendly sport.
Right.
When you walk into a Hyrox venue, it's like a nice-looking studio.
Right. Welcome back. You're watching Brandverse. Now, legendary photographer Steve McCurry was in Mumbai for an exclusive Leica India event that brought together some of the biggest names from photography, cinema, and creative arts. On the sidelines of the event, we caught up with the man behind some of the world's most iconic images, including the famous Afghan Girl portrait. In this exclusive conversation, McCurry speaks about the power of visual storytelling, his enduring connection with India, and why the most memorable photographs are often the most human. Let's listen in. Today we are going to be discussing the power of visual storytelling with a legendary photographer, Steve McCurry. Thank you so much for joining us today on ET Now.
It's a pleasure.
Steve, you have captured the world through frames, through your images, much before social media pretty much flattened the world, which is recently. Tell us more about, the power of visuals back then and how it has changed over years.
Well, I think back when I started, photography was the way that we saw the world.
Right.
It was before, it was magazines, newspapers. This is how we kind of got to know what the world was like. Now, of course, social media, every kid has a phone. And so when I first started traveling, you go into a small village and you'd be followed by 10, 20 kids because they had never seen a foreigner.
Yeah.
Now, you go into the same village, they're on their phones, they've seen movies about everywhere in the world, so they're very kind of more sophisticated.
Right.
Very different time.
Right.
Very different time.
Right. And now, since you already mentioned, social media has, democratized, so to speak. Everyone has a camera in their hands. They can take their own pictures. What according to you, do you enjoy taking photos with your phone, or is it always the camera that you carry for the quick capture?
I use my phone every day.
Every day.
Every single day. Family photos, friends photos, whatever. So I use it I think it's a great tool.
Right.
I think it's a way to take casual pictures, to record our lives, document who we meet. So I'm a big fan of cell phone photography. But for my serious work, street photography, walk around for books, exhibitions, it's my big camera.
Steve, you've given the world the famous picture of the Afghan girl. She's piercing, with those piercing eyes, looking into the camera. Tell us the backstory behind that picture.
Well, it was a time when there were about 2 million Afghans had been driven from their country, living as refugees in different countries, Iran, different Pakistan. And sort of my mission was to show their story and what was happening to these displaced people. So there were hundreds of refugee camps up and down the border between Afghanistan and Pakistan. So I was going into these refugee camps, and one day I heard voices coming from a tent. It was a girls' school. So I went in, I showed the teacher my permission, and I asked her if I could photograph some of the students. So I saw this little girl off in the corner with these incredible eyes, and I knew instantly this was the picture, the only picture I wanted to make that morning in that school. And so I kind of set about scheming to do that, and this was the result of that morning.
Right, and you know, almost 5 decades you have spent taking pictures and capturing, you know, people and, you know, cultures around the world. Started off with film camera, where, you know, you were very particular about the frame and the shot, to, like, you know, moving to a cell phone, to a smartphone, where, you know, we keep on taking 1,000 pictures on a daily basis of different things. There you are more conservative and more frugal on how you spend your film or a frame. Has changed to so many frames and so many pictures which are unused on our smartphone. So how do you look at that transition, you know, to be from frugality when it comes to capturing an image to, like, you know, the entire abundance and, you know, like, it doesn't matter how many pictures you're capturing?
Well, I was very lucky. Back when I was shooting film, all my film was free. I was always on assignment, so all my film was, I could just shoot unlimited amount of film. But even so, with your cell phone, you can shoot hundreds of pictures on the same memory card.
Right.
Whereas with film, there was just 36 exposures, so you had to keep changing film all the time. So you wanted to be careful not to shoot too much, because otherwise you're always changing the film. So,
right.
Yeah.
What is the magic, according to you, behind visual storytelling? What has, you know, stayed over the past so many decades, and what has changed, according to you, then?
Well, I think the power is still some sort of emotional connection, some story, something that you see, it changes you or informs you or somehow has a profound effect on you, a picture or a story that you can't forget, something that literally just stays with you. I think that's what we strive for, something that really is revealing of humanity or the world that we live in. So that's what I hope to achieve when I'm out working, is something really that people are going to that's going to stick with them and they're going to remember.
Yeah, and is it something, what is it that you follow? Like, what is it that you, you know, think when you're going for an image, for a picture? You know, when you have a camera in your hand or even a smartphone in your hand, when you're about to shoot, point at the subject and shoot. What is it that you, like, what is that secret sauce for Steve McCurry to capture an image?
Well, I think there's some intuitive, there's something that's sort of grabs you, something that speaks to you, something you see, maybe it's an expression or something. And once you've identified this thing which sort of really kind of speaks to you, then you try and figure out how can I, you know, talk to that person or try and get into that situation. Often I think there's a chemistry or there's some sort of a way to connect with people, and it's sort of magical. And a lot of it depends on experience and a kind of learning psychology of how to deal with people. But it takes some practice and a lot of practice.
We are bombarded with images on a daily basis now on social media platforms, in the world of Instagram, in the world of TikTok, for that matter. Anything that you've seen of late that has inspired you as a creative person?
Apart from Lionel Messi at the World Cup, that's a joke. No, I think that I see a lot of great photography. I think there's as good a photography being practiced today. I mean, when I first came to India in the late 70s, there was a kind of a handful of photographers working. Cameras were expensive, film was expensive. Today, there's thousands of really talented photographers out working and doing really meaningful work. So, and on par with anybody else in the world. So it's really changed. And you could say the same thing about photographers in other parts of Asia or Africa or Latin America. The playing field is really leveled out, and there's some incredible work being made.
Steve, you also visited India, since you mentioned India, and you visited India in some of your initial first few assignments, really pretty early on in your career, and you keep on coming back to the country. What are some of the most compelling stories that you've seen on some of your visits to India that you've captured through your camera?
Well, you know, I've been here maybe 80 times.
Wow.
In India. Yeah, I've visited everywhere. I was almost killed here in Bombay at the festival one evening. I was arrested coming in from Bhutan. But I met so many wonderful people, and had to be able to observe and to learn about the depth of culture in this country, when you have these different religions, this ancient, you know, traditions, and it's been, to me, it's the one country, one region that I think is, for me, that has the most interest, and the place that I always want to come back to time and time again, because it's just has such great depth of visual possibilities.
Well, with that, it's a wrap on this edition of Brandverse. Goodbye from me, Shubhani Gharat, and the entire team of ET Now who put this show together.